Coming up in the news tonight, the emergency orders to continue throughout the month of May. A severe thunderstorm causing an island-wide blackout over the weekend. And police on high alert to maintain law and order. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news tonight, health officials confirming 7 additional cases of COVID-19 in the country over the weekend. This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 80. At last report, there were 7 confirmed cases on Grand Bahama, 64 confirmed cases in New Providence, 1 confirmed case in Cat Key, and 8 confirmed cases on the island of Bimini. The newly confirmed cases are case number 74 is a 15-year-old female resident of Bimini with no history of travel. This case is in isolation at home. Case number 75 is a 75-year-old female resident of Bimini with no history of travel. The case is in isolation at home. Case number 76 is a 37-year-old female resident of Bimini with no history of travel. This case is in isolation at home. Case number 77 is a 47-year-old female resident of Bimini with no history of travel. This case is in isolation at home. Case number 78 is an 11-year-old female resident of Bimini with no history of travel. This case is also isolation at home. Case number 79 is a 49-year-old female resident of New Providence with no history of travel. This case is in isolation at home. Case number 80 is a 23-year-old female resident of New Providence with no history of travel. This case is in isolation at home. Now, health officials continue to follow the condition of the other current COVID-19 positive cases. Meanwhile, a resolution to extend the state of emergency in the country passed in the House of Assembly today, paving the way for the extension of the emergency powers orders until May 30th. The initial proclamation of a state of emergency by the Governor General was made on March 17th. The nation's leader tabling that resolution in Parliament this morning. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, announcing the continuance of the emergency powers COVID-19 regulations in the House of Assembly. This means that the weekday 24-hour curfew, along with complete weekend lockdowns, will continue for the entire month of May. He says that this announcement may disappoint many, but adds that this short-term sacrifice and pain is absolutely needed in the fight against COVID-19. Now, the Prime Minister also added that, as of April 25th, almost 800 persons are in quarantine. He says that the Ministry of Health has undertaken the exploration of a number of solutions to contain the spread of this deadly virus.
It is envisaged that through the simple action of downloading an app, quarantined and isolated individuals could use their cell phones in a manner similar to a walkie-talkie. With the touch of a single button, they may connect instantly with care agents. They may send an emergency assist alert for rapid response. And they may also talk to family and friends in a secured space. This app will be designed to help individuals in home quarantine and isolation to stay within the boundaries prescribed by the surveillance team.
Health officials have also reported that a number of those who should remain in quarantine or isolation at home are not doing so, which could result in greater spread of the virus.
I note that the emergency orders are being amended to enforce strict fines for those who break quarantine protocols. The orders are being amended, Mr. Speaker, that those who break quarantine will be fined up to $20,000 or spend 5 years imprisonment or both. Mr. Speaker, you break quarantine, we lock you up.
Now, the Prime Minister also noted that there are a number of Bahamians that are stuck abroad who have expressed a desire to return home. However, he also acknowledged that this could pose a health risk to those already in the country.
The government, Mr. Speaker, is finalizing plans to secure a mandatory quarantine facility to accommodate the return of a number of Bahamians in the United States to New Providence. At present, there are over 200 Bahamians who want to return home during the lockdown of our borders. And we are finalizing plans to bring those individuals home. But I must and Mrs. Speaker, I advise all those individuals who want to travel home that they should contact the Consul General in Miami so as they can be informed as to when they would be brought home.
Prime Minister Minnis adds that COVID-19 will be around for the foreseeable future, even as the number of cases locally and those around the world begin to stabilize and even decline. So as Bahamians call for more businesses to reopen, he says that for the immediate term at least, certain protocols and strategies will be needed that will allow for the reopening of society and the economy in a way that protects the health and well-being of Bahamians and residents.
We must establish and adhere to a way of doing things that will allow us to open back up in a responsible manner. And such reopening will be gradual and will be deliberate. At each step, proper health and physical distancing protocols will be mandatory and will be enforced. Even as we look and plan to open back up, we will not and cannot establish a fixed timetable that says we will do this particular thing on one date and another on another date.
A severe thunderstorm passing over the island of Grand Bahama yesterday, causing problems for the island's premier healthcare facility. Tonight, the Minister of Health is addressing the issue. Italia Hall has the details.
The photos showing damage to a tent at the Rand Memorial Hospital went viral on social media as a severe thunderstorm passed through Grand Bahama on Sunday evening. Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Dwayne Sands, says he was mortified when he saw the images along with the comments, but found out soon after that the Samaritan's Purse facility was intact.
That there was very little water intrusion into the patient areas, and that the power outage was corrected simply by turning on the generator. These are very difficult times, and the people of Grand Bahama have suffered so much, and it's so important to have balanced, accurate descriptions of what's going on as opposed to frightening the public.
He says Hurricane Dorian was and still is a challenging period for the Northern Bahamas.
We have been working to try and get the Rand Memorial Hospital remediated because we knew that there would be no way you could build a brand new Rand Memorial Hospital in a climate resilient way in 8 months. We're not far off, but we're not there yet. And so when you have an unprecedented, unexpected storm that takes out a small tent, we realize just how important it is to complete that work. Adding misinformation to that mix is irresponsible.
Now, some members within the community of Grand Bahama have expressed that Grand Bahama health concerns are not being given top priority following Hurricane Dorian, and now with the COVID-19 pandemic, the situation is even more concerning. Here's what the minister had to say to that comment.
Understand that having been badly traumatized, that additional stress or trauma is too much. We have built out multiple COVID response facilities in Grand Bahama. We've been working round the clock to do so. The build out of the clinic in High Rock is on schedule. Renovations for McLeanstown, etc., continues.
He says he wishes that the country was not going through this unfortunate situation, but in spite of all of the challenges, the concerns of Grand Bahama are paramount. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
That severe thunderstorm passing through the island of Grand Bahama last evening, causing the entire island to lose electricity shortly after 4 p.m. The Grand Bahama Power Company releasing updates on their social media page periodically, noting that power would be restored to some areas around 7 p.m. While some residents reported that electricity was restored shortly before 10 last evening. During that thunderstorm, there was also a major concern at the Ranch Memorial Hospital as some photos floated around social media showing damage outside of that healthcare facility. Well, our ZNS News team spoke with the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness Management and Reconstruction, the Honorable Iram Lewis, who says not much warning was given for them to prepare, but he was on the scene shortly after the incident and provided this update.
Yeah, the weather came down, and fortunately, the tent that was shown that was partially collapsed on the property, and unfortunately, it was portrayed on social media as if it was a tent that had patients in it. That tent was used temporarily by administration, so registration, observation, and so forth. So fortunately, like I said, to an act of God, no one was in the tent at that time. There was some wind-driven rain that came into the flap of the other area, but I can verify that I was there, and I went there immediately, even before the weather cleared up, to ensure that if there was anything that I could do to assist, I was present to assist. And none of the patients got, like I said earlier, injured. No one got wet, and none of the staff members. It was a scary moment, of course, because the tent is not ideal, but under the circumstances, the best that we had.
He said that some patients were moved to the IAT clinic.
Because during the same time, the power was off. There was an issue with the main power generation, Grand Power, but they worked hard to get that restored by 10 o'clock. However, by that time, the patients were already relocated. And the good thing is it now allows the medical administration, medical team to do some cleaning up of the tent, because it's easy to clean now with patients not around. So however they can disinfect, they can sterilize further. Unfortunately, we don't have any COVID-19 patients over there, but they give them the opportunity now to sterilize and to further clean the area. So we will have that tent back in operation.
He also confirmed that repair work will continue at the hospital. Now, that severe thunderstorm causing an island-wide power outage yesterday afternoon. Today, the Grand Bahama Power Company is addressing the issue and apologizing for any inconvenience caused. Our Jamila Mizik reports.
Severe weather conditions causing an island-wide power outage on Sunday, one that GBPC officials say was uncharacteristic of the company. GBPC Director of Customer Operations Nikita Mullings explains.
As a result of severe lightning activity, we would have lost power at our energy plant, which would have resulted in an island-wide outage, impacting all customers. At about 3:45, our energy and customer operations team would have been dispatched to assess and troubleshoot, and our first wave of customers would have been restored at about 9:30 p.m.
She says despite Sunday's unfortunate island-wide outage, GBPC is fully prepared for the summer load.
Yesterday's event was uncharacteristic of the power company, as we are committed to providing safe, reliable, efficient power to all of our customers. After Dorian, we would have lost 3 of our largest units, and we would have immediately procured additional generation, and we are more than prepared for the summer load.
Now, Mulling says GBPC knows that their customers rely on them to provide safe power every moment of every day, and for that, they're apologizing for any inconvenience caused. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
The Cabinet Office announcing yesterday, April 26, that the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, has appointed an Economic Recovery Committee. The Public-Private Committee will make recommendations to the Cabinet on the long-term economic recovery of the Bahamas' economy, including job creation and stimulating small business recovery and development in response to COVID-19. The committee will focus on restoring the macroeconomy, restarting a competitive business environment, economic diversification, tourism and transport, financial services, and labor. The co-chairs of the committee are Acting Financial Secretary Mr. Marlon Johnson and businessman Mr. Ken Kerr, CEO, Providence Advisors. The committee is representative of a diversity of public and private sector entities. In addition to the co-chairs, members of the committee include John Roll, Governor of Central Bank of the Bahamas; Wendy Craig, former Central Bank Governor, Advisor, Ministry of Finance; Christina Roll, Executive Director, Secretaries Commission of the Bahamas; Davinia Blair Grant, Executive Director, Small Business Development Center; John Delaney, QC, Senior Partner, Delaney Partners; Crystal Rutherford Ferguson, Chair, Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Federation; Greg LaRota, Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce; Susan Christush, Executive Vice President, Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association; Tanya McCartney, Executive Director, Bahamas Financial Services Board; Nat Benaby, former Managing Director, RBC Royal Bank; Patrick Ward, President and CEO of Bahamas First General Insurance Company; Edison Sumner, Principal, Sumner Trading Partners; Franklin Butler, CEO and President, Cable Bahamas Limited; Obi Ferguson, President, Bahamas Trade Union Congress; Matt Aubrey, Executive Director, Organization for Responsible Governance. Now, the Prime Minister says the committee should be bold and creative in its recommendations as the country is in a new era. As Bahamians, we need to think and act in new ways in order to recover as quickly as possible and to build a more dynamic and diverse economy. The Prime Minister thanked the committee members for agreeing to serve and to help provide a way forward for the country in response to the many challenges arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. And coming up, police out in full force this past weekend and several persons were arrested. That story straight ahead.